Welcome back, everyone, here to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Pache. Always great to be with you as we continue to roll on. A beautiful shot here of the White House on this Friday evening, and some news being made today. President Trump signing an executive order establishing that there will be an IndyCar race in Washington, D.C. this summer as part of America's 250th birthday celebration. So let's bring in right now our next guest to help break it all down, Will Weissert with the Associated Press. Great to have you on, Will. So later this summer, is President Trump going to be dropping the flags?
He didn't say he'd be doing that, but yeah, on August the 23rd, we're going to get a street race with Indy cars zooming their way through Washington, D.C. And one of the things that was said during the executive order signing today was that the cars can go up to 190 miles an hour, and that one of the parts that they'll pass, the sort of one of the streets on their route, is going to be Pennsylvania Avenue itself. So it's probably not beyond the realm of possibility to imagine President Trump out there, dropping the flag and maybe the start flag and even the checkered flag. But we'll sort of get more details on that as we get a little bit closer. The other funny thing that they mentioned today that Trump sort of chuckled at was they said that it was the first time since 1801 that the Washington, D.C. had a street race, and that was an event that occurred under President Thomas Jefferson, and it featured horses. So these vehicles are going to be going a lot faster than any horses, but it's been quite a long time since we've seen street racing in D.C.
Yeah, quite the different horsepower there, right? A little bit,
Right.
a little bit different. Will, so there's President Trump is really good friends with Roger Penske, and this was probably really easy to put together because of Roger Penske's involvement in Indy.
Yeah, I think that's right. I should have mentioned Roger Penske was there. He was among the officials at the signing, along with Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy and some other officials from sort of racing outfits. Yeah, as you mentioned, Roger Penske, he owns IndyCar, right? He's very involved in all sorts of teams and in different motorsports. And he said that this is really an initiative that they've been pushing for a long time, that they'd been lobbying Congress for a number of years. And that, lawmakers were sort of generally very excited about the idea, but that it was never a plan that sort of got off the ground. They approached Trump with it a couple of, just within days, really a couple days ago. And he was willing to sort of get it, sort of use an executive order to move it into the fast lane, if I can use another sort of tortured metaphor there. But Penske is he's a longtime friend of Trump's. He's been involved in Republican politics. So the connection was already sort of there. And this is something that Trump is promoting as part of the 250th anniversary celebration of the United States. America's 250th birthday. That will involve events all over the country and months worth. And this will be another one of those events. In D.C. The interesting thing about President Trump, he's always been a big sports fan, but in his second term, he's really devoted a lot of time and energy to sporting events, right? A lot of his domestic travel has been to sporting events. He was just at the NCAA football championship right outside of Miami a couple weeks ago. He went to Super Bowl last year. This is sort of right up his alley, right? Motorsports is not exactly the same as other sports, but he said something like, I like to watch races. I don't really have a lot of time to watch it, but I enjoy it. And this is right up that alley. Another thing that he's planning this summer is to, put an octagon on the White House grounds, right? And hold a USC fight as part of the America 250 celebration. So sports is definitely going to be part of, the anniversary of the country. And with Trump as president, that's sort of a marriage of one of his major interests.
Yeah, no doubt about that, Will. And then as we get closer to July 4th, obviously there's going to be huge celebrations on that day for July 4th with America's 250. But as we get closer to the summer and the summer months, is there just going to be a rollout of events after events celebrating this America 250? We're already seeing big corporate sponsors like Ford putting out commercials for America 250. But is this going to be a rollout that's going to be coming pretty fast once we get into summer months?
Yes. This is something the White House and the president have been talking about for months, really, deep into last year. And as you point out, the corporate sponsors have also been lined up. The different sports leagues have also talked about it, and we will see. I mentioned the UFC fight. That's probably going to be around Trump's birthday, right, in June. This race will be in August. There will be other things specifically tied to the 4th of July, as you mentioned. There will be all sorts of events, and it's not just sporting events, right? There will be cultural events. There'll be concerts. There'll be fireworks shows. All kinds of things. And the idea is that really the whole year of 2026, once we get deeper into past the cold weather, maybe, right, and it's easier to be outside, we'll see more celebrations and sort of an ongoing year-long marking of the nation's birthday.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Well, Will, thanks so much for coming on, giving us some great insights. Looking forward to it later this summer. I think it's going to be quite the scene to see those Indy cars racing through the streets of D.C. Quite the experience.
Yeah, I think it'll be loud and it'll be fun. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, no problem. You have a great weekend. Enjoy. Take care. And we will take a 2-minute break here on Live Now from Fox. We will come back with some other top stories, headlines, all in the mix in moments.